And welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, producer Chris Daughtry behind the scenes for today's live show. We are live once again as we will get into all of the latest on the Cowboys, discuss more general NFL stuff too, but we're only live today on the Cowboys Report. No additional NFL daily coverage either. So we will break down everything that's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. I want you to grade the Cowboys free agency so far. I think we include re-signings and trades as part of this, by the way. Just a kind of free agency period. A, B, ooh, can I add commas to that one? I guess I messed that one up. There's no comma after the C. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments and in the pinned poll as well. 8% are voting A, 34% voting B. Sorry, 35% voting B. It just changed. 45% voting C, 13% voting D or F. So the vast majority in that B to C range, which we'll get into when I do the tracker and grades here. I see A, B, F for who gives a damn. Isn't that a D for who gives a damn? C, D, B minus, C, C, D, C plus, C, B best, C, A, B, C, a K for, what's the K for? A, B, B if we get Cup. Okay. Yeah, I think it's not over yet, and they have plenty of available funds if they want to. At this point, though, over the cap has them at 69 players. They'll get to 90. They might not add a whole lot more because they're going to have 10 draft picks in theory and unsigned free agents too. Now, they can always make some cuts of various lower level players, but I'd like to see another corner and a receiver, and I think that'd be a heck of a lot better than previous years, which I think we're already at the heck of a lot better status. C, Z, C minus, A if we fire the Joneses and hire a GM. Yeah, but we know it's not going to happen. It'd be funny, though. B for better than last year. C minus. So I think a lot of C's and B's are the main ones there. Chris Broussard's burner account, a.k.a. we don't wipe these 304s. What's your favorite Young Thug song? And would you rather wear cargo shorts or skinny jeans? Got a Young Thug song for me there, Chris? Stone! Let's get the youth back in here. Chris is going with lifestyle. I got nothing for you. Oh, it's on Fast and Furious? Okay, well then maybe I know that one, but I'm not familiar with it. Appreciate that, Chris. I guess skinny jeans. I don't know. Like, why can't I just wear like normal shorts? Stone's thinking about about this one. All right, Stone and I have got a great answer either there. All right, so there you go. I guess skinny jeans, but like, I don't know. Can they be just like they kind of just like get a little bit tighter in like the calf area and not just like crazy skinny everywhere? Like, can I meet halfway on that one? I don't know. Appreciate that, my friend. We'll get to any other Super Chats that come in. We'll get to the Super Chat menu. But I do want to run through some of the recent moves that have happened of late across the NFL. Josh Ross to the Seahawks, which I think was a former Michigan player, getting to reunite with Mike McDaniel, if my memory serves right there. Seahawks to Sean Hand, which maybe could have been a decent run-stopping option for you. 1 year, $3.5 million to the Chargers. Cowboys legend Noah Brown is back with the Commanders, a 1 year, $4.5 million deal. Tennessee just signed Brandon Allen to basically replace Mason Rudolph, who we'll get to in a little bit as he goes to Tennessee. Michael Dieter restructured his deal with the Commanders. Raheem Mostert, 1 year, $2.1 million deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to get some of the top free agent targets left for the Cowboys. I had to, in the script, I just crossed out Mostert and Noah Brown because those are like lower level options there. Will Clapp to the Saints, Scotty Miller to Pittsburgh, KJ Osborne, those are both re-signings. Isaac Yiadom, I gotta pronounce that one. Back to the Saints, 3 years, $9 million. Mason Rudolph kind of helping to set some benchmarks here for backup quarterback costs, 2 years, $8 million. Josh Uche to the Eagles. Anthony Walker and KJ Britt actually swapped teams. It's kind of a free agency trade, so to speak. Probably will end up having very similar contract talks there. Or details. Walker to the Bucks. KJ Britt to the Dolphins. The Patriots have released David Andrews. Now, that one also could end up being a retirement thing for him. Jack Stoll to the Saints, Jamin Davis to the Jets, Kendall Vildor to the Bucks, Cowboys legend Neville Gallimore to the Colts, Adam Thielen restructures his deal with the Panthers, Greg Van Roten back to the Giants, Dalvin Tomlinson, that one I would have been really a big fan of, but there's no way they're going to pay almost $15 million there for another defensive tackle. He goes to the Cardinals. Mac Jones, backup quarterback to the 49ers. Mike Williams back to the Chargers, which is honestly kind of funny. Kyle Trask back as QB2/3 in Tampa. Cam Jordan restructured his deal. Tylan Wallace resigns. Cam Sample resigns. Harrison Smith gets another kind of year back with the Vikings. Casey Toohill resigns. Dietrich Wise goes to the Commanders. Marcus Williams was cut by the Ravens. Draymond Jones to the Titans. And then you got Cooper Kupp getting released, C.J. Mosley getting released, and then probably the one that we'll end on here that's most relevant for the Cowboys, Rico Dowdle, only getting 1 year, $3 million, with more than double that, potentially coming with incentives. I have not seen like true nitty-gritty contract details at this time specifically for Rico, but that was not a very expensive deal, and I was kind of surprised by that one. I think somebody or somebody's misjudged their markets. I don't know if that was more of a Cowboys mistake, a Rico mistake, or a bit of both. Rico goes back to kind of be the 1B behind Chuba Hubbard, as the Panthers will hopefully get Jonathan Brooks back at some point in the not-too-distant future. All right, the Super Chat menu on today's show. Any Super Chat, we'll give you guys a shout-out. $20 is a shots or Bean Boozled. We only have so much alcohol left in the shots. So if we run out, then it has to be the Bean Boozled. But you guys can, pick and choose on that front. $50 for the beer bong. Again, the most 50s in the month of March. You win the signed Zach Martin jersey. The first 50 of the day, we'll make this the specialty item here. The first one only is a double entry. Right now, Anthony McMillan has the lead at 8. Brandon's at 6. And also, by the way, no helmet giveaway because the Cowboys Report audience won all 3 of them the first 3 days of free agency. Marcus, I shipped out yours from yesterday, and then everyone else should get theirs today or tomorrow, timing-wise. It depends on shuffling there. So the first 50 means you get basically, it counts as 2 in my spreadsheet tracker here. So if you have no 50s in there, it'll give you 2 entries on that one in terms of like counting the most 50s in the month of March. We'll get to some Super Chats here, but before we get into those, what is your favorite Cowboys free agency move so far? And again, I do think trades are fine on that front. But what is your favorite Cowboys free agency move as of this time? Let's see. I'll give you guys some chances. I think, especially with hindsight, the Osa one is probably a pretty good value for you. If you like Osa, I think you're very happy about that. If you don't like Osa, it's a different conversation. Kenneth Murray trade, Kenneth Murray Jr., Jack Sanborn, none. Juanyeh Thomas and Brock Hoffman were free squares. I don't know if we're counting that in the tracker. Those were super easy. Someone said Cooper Kupp. We'll see if that one happens. Jack Sanborn and Murray. Not signing Zeke. Javonte Williams, Kenneth Murray, none. Kenneth Murray, 100. Rico is 1 year, 3, up to 6 and change with incentives. So we'll see what the actual details look like there in terms of potential comp pick stuff too. Kenneth Murray, Osa, Javonte Williams, Juanyeh Thomas, Kavontae Turpin, T.O. Well, I meant this year, not all time of Terrell Owens. The Cowboys actually doing things. It has definitely been better than previous years. We can argue how much better, and we'll do that later. Solomon Thomas, Kenneth Murray. Let's see. Releasing Rowdy. God, I wish. Instant A-plus grade. All right, some Super Chats to get to here from Jay Gonzo 11. Congrats, Tom, for making it on First Take this morning. First Take, in classic First Take form, did a ESPN, or did, Micah, in the middle of NFL free agency, did an entire segment on a Micah Parsons tweet. An entire segment on it, which is insane to me. Like, there's actual things happening. You're talking about Micah's tweet? Come on, be serious. Like talk ball for once. It was Micah's tweet about saying it's basically my time, and I quote tweeted it saying I don't think this is contract related. This is leadership related because Tank Lawrence left, and then Micah retweeted it with RTs don't equal endorsements, but I think that was definitely him saying the exact same thing. So that's the background there. David M. Are we drafting Genty and or Hampton? Well, definitely not and or. Definitely not and. They will not spend their first 2 picks on a back. They could double dip. I think they'd be like, day 2, day 3 picks. I think we'll use our extra 5th-round picks, trade up for a 2nd or 3rd. Look, you can try. Let me pull up the trade chart here, like the rough trade chart. Like I think all of those, I think the proliferation, which you can thank Jimmy Johnson for that, by the way, of the NFL trade value chart is good. It is a positive thing. But, sometimes it's a bit complicated. If the Cowboys were to package all of their 5th-round picks, the rough estimation is maybe you get into the middle part of the 4th round. If you add the rest of them in, then that kind of puts you, if you trade all of your day 3 picks, that would roughly get you into the back end of the 3rd round. But it's also, would a team really trade a top 100 pick for 7 picks on day 3? I don't know if a team would actually want to do that. So you can try to move up. You can package a 5 and something to go get a 4. I think that's very doable. I would like to actually see the Cowboys do that, but I don't think you're gonna get into day 2 at all. From Mark, just got in to give speed on the Cooper Kupp news. All right, Cooper Kupp has been released officially by the LA Rams. He, per Jordan Schultz, doesn't want to spend a lot of time, may or may not take any visits anywhere. At least 5 teams in the market. No details on what that teams are going to be. I would bet the Patriots are in the mix. I wouldn't be shocked if some combination of Denver, LA, if Chargers is in LA. It's going to be Team Texans maybe the Cowboys. I think all those teams could certainly be in the mix there. Packers want one for sure. But if the Cowboys just don't want to go above their free agency spending threshold of like $5 or $6 million, they're not going to get Cooper Kupp. And they're probably not going to get the level of impact I know a lot of you guys want. And that can go for insert receiver here or insert corner here. You're just not going to get the same level of impact there. Eric Ramsey, Dallas clearly didn't want Rico back. $3 million 1 year, up to 6 is wild if you ask me. A great piece to have. I was very surprised by that. Look, it may not have been a pure Cowboys thing. This may have been Rico didn't want to stick around, or Rico thought his market would be a lot better. He was asking for 6, and Dallas said, no, we'll do 3. And then he chose to leave, and the Cowboys pivoted, and then Rico's market wasn't as good as he wanted. I don't know what the nitty-gritty stuff there actually ends up being. Maybe he wanted to go back to Carolina. Maybe the guarantees were higher on that deal than what Dallas offered. We still don't have the guaranteed money on Javonte Williams yet. Don't know what that is. But if you had told me in a bubble Rico was going to get 1 year, 3 up to 6, I'd been like, yeah, I'll do that. No problems. That's actually kind of what I thought the deal would end up being. But probably like 3 guaranteed, but actually 4 or 5 up to 6. So that one I was a bit like, oh, kind of surprised by that one, no doubt. From Chris Broussard's burner, is Futurama your favorite show? No, it's actually a show called Psych. If anyone watches USA Network, huge fan of that show. I rewatch it every year or so. All right, what is your least favorite Cowboys free agency move? Let me know in the comments of today's show. We'll give some shout-outs on this one, too. It's your turn to be mean. Be nice and be mean there. Let's see. Robert Jones, all of them from Big Brian. Oof, that's not always a fun thing. DeMarcus Lawrence leaving. Robert Jones, Kenneth Murray, keeping Jerry. There's going to be a lot of Jerry Jones comments all in a row. A lot of Jerry Jones comments. Robert Jones, D-Law leaving, not signing a vet receiver. Robert Jones, not signing Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis leaving. The Kenneth Murray contract. I think that the contract actually is like the biggest problem I have with Murray. Maybe your linebacker guru Matt Eberflus can fix him. Rico not trading Parsons yet, not getting a Michael deal done. losing Lawrence and Jordan Lewis, the Kaiir Elam trade, not re-signing Rico, Tank leaving, going less than $3 million. That's funny. Not getting an elite starter. I think that's actually fair. I think that's actually a very good point even of you've definitely done more. Do you trust the level of impact right now? I don't know. Not signing good number 2 QB. There's time for that. There's time for that. Let's see. Is Robert Jones related to Jerry? Not that I know of. Not signing Dre Greenlaw. Anthony wants to go get Cowboys legend Rod Smith. Now we're talking. What a throwback name that one was. Kaiir Elam. Not enough booze. Hey, it's up to you guys if I drink more. $50 for beer bongs. The bosses said I can't do it on my own anymore. On the clock. Kenneth Murray. Questions about signing Minshew. We'll talk about free agents here. I promise you. We'll have a modified show today. Kind of a different style to an extent. Now, if you are ready for us to kind of get into some of the actual conversation and not just super chats and what signings have happened since we're kind of like on wave 7 of free agency. Like it's also like the quarterbacks and wide receivers are kind of still available. But if you are ready to get into the actual show, show it by liking today's video right now. We're at like a 10% like ratio when the goal is always a 50% like ratio. So if you haven't already, like the video for me right now. Damn, Gator Hulk says my hair. It's not that bad. That's right there. Got me good. Not re-signing Kendricks. Me not being GM. Letting Tank go. Let's see. The Cowboys not inviting you on the bus. Yeah, but that's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. Someone got to make the booze run to Costco. We got beers. It's up to you guys if we start doing beer bongs, though. It's no longer purely my choice. All right, Ryan Hoffman, a $5 super chat. How big of a need is corner now with Jordan Lewis gone? First, second round picks to focus on running back, wide receiver, corner, or is this we are able to go best player available at this point? I kind of feel like at this point the Cowboys game plan is we're going to take the best available player, but instead of having to need to get a corner, need to get a running back, need to get a receiver, need to get a guard, need to get a defensive tackle, we only would like to get one of those things. I still think you need defensive line help. I think you've probably done enough at linebacker to be okay there. I do think running back, wide receiver, corner are all good options. Like in some combination, your first couple picks could very well focus on those, unless you can do with your it's actually still like around $30 million at minimum in cap space. You're kind of in that ballpark. Because remember, you're at the top 51 rule applies in free agency, so only the top 51 contracts count. And at this point, the 51st contract is about $1 million. So you can sign a 1-year, $3 million deal. It counts about 2 because you're dropping somebody down from that list. So I kind of think that those are 3 good areas, but I still want defensive line help. I don't think you're good enough at those spots. I think you can survive in a lot of areas. I just don't know if you can thrive at this point. But thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Coming up on today's live show, assuming we don't get any new signings, which would be pretty cool if they did, we'll do Cowboys Free Agency Tracker here in just a second, go through all the moves, hand out some grades as well for each of the individual signings. There's a couple I'm going to cheat on. You'll see what I mean by that in a little bit. We'll run through who I think are some of the top semi-realistic top free agents left. We could cross off Jack Sanborn as one hit, but not a whole lot else, frankly. That's how it goes with the Cowboys in free agency. Mailbags as well. Get your questions in via hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. We're going to do 2 mailbags on today's show, mostly because there were a lot of Super Chats, or Super Thanks. We haven't done like a regular mailbag in a week, so I want to get to all of those on that front. Get them in via hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. Skip the line altogether. The Cowboys have been far busier than they have been, especially compared to last year in NFL free agency. So with a lot of moves made, I want to go through all of them, recap the moves, give out grades for all the individual moves and the big picture stuff as well here on the Cowboys Report. Now, all of these moves in some capacity have had, whether it's an individual video or a shorter version or combined into several, we've hit every single Cowboys move in free agency. And if more news happens, we'll hit that as well. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. I don't know what the answer is on the number of moves, the number of videos we've done the past week, but I know it's been a lot, and more will come. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. So first, let's briefly recap all the moves the Cowboys have made, including re-signings. I'm not going to include Juanyeh Thomas and Brock Hoffman. Those were and Tyrus Sweet. Those were exclusive rights free agents. Those were free squares. Those were no-brainers. They're the vet minimum. No complaints at all about that. Those are easy A-plus grades. Osa back on a 4-year, $80 million deal. We'll spend some time on that one. CJ Goodwin, 1 year, $1.42. Markquese was up to 12. It's really more like 3 years, $9 million. Trent Sieg, the long snapper, back on a 3-year, $4.45 million deal, most of which is like basically guaranteed the first 2 years at slightly more than the vet minimum. Javonte Williams, 1 year, $3 million. Again, details not fully known on some of these. Robert Jones, 1 year, up to 4.75. Sounds like that dude's going to come in more at like 3.75. Solomon Thomas, 2 years, up to 8. 3 years, 13.5 for Kavontae. That's the actual number. Again, it came in lower than the initial reported number, as they so often do. Peyton Turner, 1 year, $2 million guaranteed. Brian Anger, a 2-year, $6.4 million deal, very similar to his last contract to return to the Dallas Cowboys. Kaiir Elam, part of a trade, a 5th and a 6th, with Elam and a 6th coming back to Dallas. Jack Sanborn, 1-year deal. Still don't know what the actual details are on that one as of filming. Kenneth Murray, along with a 2025 7th, to Dallas for a 2025 6th round pick. Now, the Cowboys also lost some key players. Jordan Lewis, Chuma Edoga, both go to Jacksonville. Chauncey Golston goes to New York. DeMarcus Lawrence goes to Seattle. And Rico Dowdle goes to the Carolina Panthers. Those were 4. Let's just combine Edoga and Golston as like kind of partial starters into one. So 4-ish starters from the Cowboys this past season have been lost. I want you, before we get into my individual grades and overall grades here, grade the Cowboys free agency so far. A, B, C, D, or F. It is the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. A, B, C, D, or F. Let's go to Osa Odighizuwa, and you can especially contrast this one to the Milton Williams 4 years, $106 million contract he got from the Patriots there. And suddenly $20 million doesn't look too bad for an Osa extension. I'll give this a B+. Now, if you just don't like Osa the player, you hate it. I think this is kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum grades, and that's totally fine. I think that's just the nature of that type of money there. I think relative to the market, that was kind of a team-friendly deal, quite frankly. And also, not to overgive them too much credit here, but if they're not going to spend on outside free agents, maybe it's okay if they give an overpay to some internal players. CJ Goodwin, the cornerback, who's really just a special teamer here. I'm going to give a special grade for CJ Goodwin. ST, it's special teams. It's fine. It's not very expensive. They want to keep that core together. You're not going to catch me like really complaining about going out and doing special team stuff. Now, to an extent, Markquese also kind of fits this mold, although I think he does offer more than just special teams ability. And the cost of a backup safety is like $4 or $5 million on the open market. It's not very much guaranteed money for Markquese. They could move off him in the near future if they want to. I give that one an A. I am a fan of Markquese game. I think it's a fair, if not even slightly team-friendly contract. It's less cap hit than the RFA tender would have been. I don't have many complaints there. Trent Sieg, in fact, I have no complaints on Markquese. Trent Sieg, 3 years, $4.45 with $3.1 million guaranteed. Again, this is your long snapper. The long snapper plan should always be we mention him when he gets signed, we mention him when he makes the roster, and then we don't mention him again. And I'm going to give a special teams grade here too. It's not, at his age, like that's not very different than the vet minimum. I'm not going to let like $100,000 or something, whatever the actual number is, difference actually cause problems for me. It's a special teams grade. ST, lame way, but you don't need to freak out about it. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the best place to get real money sports action, especially now that we are deep into March, or I guess halfway into March. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. You can run your game all season long on PrizePicks. If you haven't already, go check out prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. There are season-long football PrizePicks slates available. I normally like the more thans, but I don't know if it was Harrison or Chase who cooked this one up. I like the less thans here. Jared Goff, less than passing yards. Travis Kelce, less than receiving yards. Jay Daniels, that's a very high rushing yards figure. I love the less than there as well. So again, link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Go download the app today and use code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. Javonte Williams, a 1-year, $3 million deal. I don't have actual details, at least not that I've seen as of filming yet. So maybe there's like a little bit less guaranteed money than previously thought. This is a 1-year, $3 million deal, which even if it's just like all guaranteed, I think that's fine for a player at his stage of his career. Like, I mean, we went more in depth on all these guys previously. I'm fine with this one. I think it's a B. I didn't change it for the individual signing after Rico got like a very similar grade because I would have preferred Rico. I think he's a better runner right now. But we'll talk about some of the losses here later on. Robert Jones, a 1-year, $4.75 million deal. Now, of note, this is the up to figure for Robert Jones, up to 4.75. It's really more like 3.75 million with $3 million guaranteed. That's not that bad. That's about the going rate for a backup guard. But I just kind of, maybe you could have gotten a better player and spent a little bit more money. I am very curious, though, and I'll give it a C+, by the way. It's my least favorite offensive move. Let's put it that way. I am curious to see how this new coaching staff can maximize these players. The common trend you'll notice on these signings is they're often like low risk, potentially high upside players that had high draft grades in the consensus coming out, and the Cowboys hoping that they can fix them. As a backup, that's fine for Jones, but I kind of think Hoffman and maybe Bass are actually better. This was one of the few multi-year deals, given out from the Cowboys this offseason. And you kind of had some Matt Eberflus guys come in. This one kind of very much seems like a Aaron White-Cotton deal. Solomon Thomas, 2 years, up to $8 million. Again, I have not seen actual contract details. I would not be surprised if this basically boils down to like it's a $3 million cap hit and they can get out of it after a year and pay him like $4 million total or something. That would not be a huge surprise to me. I do think Solomon Thomas's inside-outside game, though, is something the Cowboys need, especially after losing Chauncey Golston. I think there is still untapped potential. I think he will do dirty work for you. He can generate a little bit of pressure as well. I think he is a good rotational player. Doesn't fulfill your high-level need, but I think it is a quality individual signing by the Dallas Cowboys. I don't have too many issues there. Not my favorite one. We'll get to my favorite one that wasn't an internal signing here in a second. But what is your favorite Cowboys free agency move? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. What is your favorite Cowboys free agency move? Let's go to Kavontae Turpin, as this had been reported as Kavontae Turpin is now the highest paid special teams player in the NFL. Well, not actually. This is a 3-year, $13.5 million deal. And eventually, I think we'll do kind of some more in-depth details on the individual contract stuff here. But this is basically, they can get out of this deal for like 1 year, 5.5, basically. Like next year, if they wanted to cut Kavontae Turpin, they could absolutely do it. There's not a lot of signing bonus stuff involved there. He's costing $3 million on the cap this season. It would be 2.5 in dead money or rounding there. That's actually very team friendly. This is not a lot of money to pay for someone who I am optimistic can end up being more than just a gadget player. That's probably what he's limited to on offense. That is a good move by the Cowboys. Let's go to Peyton Turner, part of the Cowboys' run of, let's bring in your former failed first-round pick. 1 year, $3 million, $2 million guaranteed. It's fine. That's a cheap, buy low, swing for the upside, see if something better ends up happening. I think playing time has been his biggest problem. He just hasn't been healthy. I worry about him getting enough playing time. He fits the archetype of what Matt Eberflus likes. If he's your fourth defensive end, you're probably not worried at all about that. The question just becomes, do you have a better 2 and 3? So I give this one a B again. Kind of like some previous years, I don't have that many complaints with a lot of these moves from a bubble perspective, like just in a bubble. 1 year, $3 million. That doesn't really matter all that much. Brian Anger, the punter, 2 years, 6.4. That's per Denver. That's the numbers coming out of Denver because apparently the Cowboys won the bidding war. It's a punter. You can't win a bidding war for a punter. He got $3.2 million. That's not a bidding war, right? He's back for what might be the final 2 years of his NFL career. So, again, special teams grade. Just because it's a special teamer. I'm not going to freak out about it. We'll do trades here as well, though. Kaiir Elam, a 2025 sixth, and Kaiir Elam heading to Buffalo for a 2025 fifth and a 2026 seventh. From like a trade value perspective, that's extremely minimal. I don't have any issues at all in terms of being willing to trade away day 3 draft picks or day 3 pick swaps. That's fine. And I think Elam has untapped potential. I liked him a lot coming out of Florida. So I'm gonna give this one again a B. For me, that's a good trade. A is great, B is good, C's okay, D is bad, and F is I'm really, really mad about it. A B for me is it's fine, it's good. I don't have Elam. Hopefully, is a backup for you. I still think you needed a nickel, but that's depth that they needed. The Jack Sanborn one, I am very intrigued by. I think he was kind of just stuck behind 2 better linebackers for the Chicago Bears. He at minimum gives you fantastic special teams play. I think he's better than Damone Clark. He is not the same caliber of athlete, but I think he's better there. We don't have the full details on the contract for Jack Sanborn. I would guess this is a profoundly cheap deal, and I'll change my grade if I need to, if it ends up not being a profoundly cheap deal. But I think that Sanborn could be a pleasant surprise for you, and someone that I know Matt Eberflus knows quite well from their time together in Chicago. So what is your least favorite Cowboys free agency move? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. What is your least favorite Dallas Cowboys free agency move? Some of you will say Kenneth Murray. It's Murray, a 2025 7th-round pick to the Cowboys, a 2025 6th-round pick to Tennessee. From a trade perspective, I have no issues here. That's a negligible amount. My biggest issue is that you're giving $7 million to a player who still is kind of the same guy he was at Oklahoma. When he gets to just go downhill, he's actually pretty good. He's able to make stuff happen. He's impactful. He's able to make some splash plays. When he's in space or in coverage or has to fully process, he'll take the cheese. He'll get out of position. And you're paying him. You could have just given Jordan Lewis that money this year. Why wouldn't you have just done that? You could have basically, from a cap perspective, just signed Dre Greenlaw instead of going with Murray and Jack Sanborn. Or you have money to do Greenlaw anyway. So I just have issues with the money involved for Kenneth Murray for the level of player he has been so far in his NFL career. Now, he's a fantastic athlete. And if anyone can fix him, it's Matt Eberflus. But this also comes down to the Cowboys are kind of just signing athletic players and hoping that the Cowboys coaching staff can fix them. That's the concern to me. So I'm not a fan of the Kenneth Murray move with the contract and level of play, but also it's not like it's the end of the world either. Now, what does stink are some of the losses the Cowboys sustained. Jordan Lewis is a is a tough loss for the Cowboys. Chuma Edoga, you guys know that I'm not a big fan. He might end up counting as a comp pick for you. Chauncey Golston heading to the New York Giants. You know, all of the Chauncey Golston's and his agent, I think, was also Lewis and Tank Lawrence agent, David Cantor, and they all left, which is interesting to me, and maybe not a specific Cowboys issue, or maybe it is kind of a specific Cowboys issue there. So Golston leaves for the Giants on a deal that you could have paid, but I think he's just like a good player. And there's a chance that the combination of Solomon Thomas and Peyton Turner is as good, if not better, there. DeMarcus Lawrence heads over to the Seattle Seahawks, which at that amount I'm not terribly surprised by, but it is still a noteworthy loss. Rico Dowdle ends up going to the Carolina Panthers on a deal that was the same basically as Javonte Williams. Maybe just more incentives as well there. And my issue you run into when you start to look big picture here and zoom back is, did you get better? Did you get better at all the different holes you wanted to fill? And you've definitely added bodies, but do you feel more confident in this roster? Do you think the Cowboys are better from when they began free agency to now, with all the losses and everything? Y for yes, N for no. So let's grade free agency for the Cowboys then. I'm going to be a coward and a cheater. This is kind of like a B-, C+, kind of like right in that range for me. It can go either way, and that's basically looking at the live poll about the same way you guys feel. It is unquestionably better than what the Cowboys did last year. I don't think anyone can sit there and say the last offseason was better. It was not, especially with what we knew at the times, right? But that was a god-awful free agency for the Cowboys. The quantity has gone up. Is the quality in the end good enough? I would wager a lot of money that at least a couple of these kind of low-risk, cheap, high upside, maybe we get lucky swings, do pay out. Whether it's at linebacker or defensive line or whatever, I think at least one of them, if not 2 or 3, pay off, and that's good. I'd rather have 10 cracks at it, or 7 cracks at it, than 3, because just the odds of me getting 3 good players are way higher there. But not all of them will likely end up working out in the end. Free agency is not over yet. I'd like some more clear impact pieces. Even if you have to overpay for clear impact pieces in free agency, whether that's a receiver or a corner or another defensive tackle, that's something I would like to see this team do. And I can feel a lot better overall about the Cowboys free agency if they can go do that. They've got around $30 million in cap space. They can absolutely make that work. All right, updates here from free agency. Harrison Bryant is signing a 1-year deal worth up to $2 million with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mentioned Brandon Allen to the Tennessee Titans. Sheldon Day to the Washington Commanders. As the Commanders are just kind of, I think that's actually a re-signing. It's a re-signing for Sheldon Day. Details on that front. So the Commanders kind of investing heavily along the defensive line. Eric Ramsey super chat, and I think the rest we can kind of get into during the mailbag. I think that's fine. I think that makes some sense. So get your questions in via hashtag Cowboys or skipping the line altogether via. So we're going to go to the super chat menu here as well. Also, if you care about college basketball, it's a sprained ankle for Cooper Flag. X-rays were negative, so hopefully he can play in the actual tournament. That'd be more fun for, I think, everybody except people who really, really hate Duke. But it's also like I want to see good players in the end. So that's my mindset. All right, super chat menu on today. That is not the super chat menu, fortunately. Sorry, buddy, but L's in the chat for Chris. L's in the chat for Chris there. Been a long week. Any super chat is a shout out. $20, I'll do a shot or spin the wheel for the Bean Boozled. We have both available. $50 for the beer bong. The first 50 of the day, by the way, it counts twice for the most 50s in the month of March, which is the signed Zach Martin jersey giveaway. Anthony McMillan right now has the lead at 8. So first 50 of the day counts double. We have not done any beer bongs yet. You guys tried to get me, you guys got me drunk on Monday. I had to stop on Tuesday. I didn't drink that much Wednesday. Now you don't even want me to drink today. Come on. Let's not be crazy out there. But We have the Q&A super thanks, though, too, to get to. Oh, I meant just like as part of the mailbag. Sorry, as part of the mailbag. My bad. We'll check in on free agency, by the way, throughout today's live show. There has not been very much that's happened so far. Russell Wilson is leaving his Browns visit to go to the Giants. Kind of feel like Tennessee's going to end up taking, Cam Ward at 1. But DC star 86. The economy is being shown in the lack of drunkenness by Tom. It's up to you guys. You guys determine it, because otherwise I get in trouble if I don't handle things that way. So get your super chats in. One of 2 mailbags coming up here on today's live show. We have several super thanks to get into on today's video. From CJ, this was in reference to the Trent Sieg short. Who? It's the long snapper. Again, the rules for long snapping are this. We mention you when you sign. We mention you when you make the roster. And we don't say your name again the rest of the year. Otherwise, something bad probably happened. So you probably should know who your long snapper is. That means, bad things didn't happen to you. Now, there's a lot of super thanks on today's show. We'll break them all down here. It's a feature on YouTube. Lets you donate outside of live videos. Edit your message. Send in whatever you want to send in. As long as you're not committing an ism, we'll feature you on the show because we appreciate your support at the Cowboys Report. So you got super thanks. Feel free to get them in. Back to CJ, the best signing this joke of a franchise made in free agency. I think it was in reference to Kavontae Turpin, and will mostly be their big splash in free agency. Jerry, you are a joke, and so is your franchise. And then not that dissimilar of a super chat there from Mighty Ants 0215 is, I'm done till the draft. I hate being let down. I don't want to hear circus over Micah. I would wager a good amount of money there's going to be a lot of unnecessary drama over Micah Parsons because it's just how the Cowboys seemingly always do these large contracts. This is not on time for Micah. They are now late. On time was before free agency. Late was after. Early was last season. From Skeptical Fan, a $2 super thanks. I can almost feel the Super Bowl now. These signings are blowing me away. Parentheses, sarcasm. I get the general frustration. I do. I think a lot of us would like to see like a bigger splash. The individual moves in a bubble, like, oh, we're okay, 1 year, 2, 1 year, 3 for that guy. Okay, that makes sense. But being aggressive and adding some higher end impact talent, just once again, the Cowboys don't have any real interest in doing that. So far, grade the Cowboys 2025 free agency. I'll make note we're filming this on our Thursday live show, so maybe more happen by the time this goes out in theory on Friday. A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. How do you grade the Cowboys 2025 NFL free agency cycle? The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. CJ loves the super thanks, baby. The best signing. We did that one already. Jeez, that's too bad. Did I put the wrong one in there? And I very well may have built the wrong one. This was supposed to be in reference to losing DeMarcus Lawrence. So maybe I probably built it twice on accident. Yeah, that's my bad. I built it wrong. So L's in the chat for me then. CJ made a comment about losing DeMarcus Lawrence and not replacing him. That has to be done at least a little bit by your second-round picks. Sam Williams and Marshawn Nealon. You can't spend 2 seconds on edge rushers and not trust them to take over opposite Micah Parsons at some point. And that also brings us to the wrong one. It says Sam Williams over under 6 sacks this year off the injury. I say over if just barely. His career high is 4.5. So I think maybe 4.5 is a better over-under, or maybe just outright 5. Coming off an injury, having never gotten a 6 before, I would love to say the over. I think if you get 6 sacks out of Sam Williams, that's a good season. I need to see it before I fully believe and buy into it in the end. From Rain, Tom, will we get Von Miller now that he's not a Bill? I would have interest in Von. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. The money always matters for this team. He's had interest before. I think that really helps kind of stabilize your edge rushing room. But I think you've got, you have the room for it. You have the cap space for it. He shouldn't be overly expensive. I think a lot of people would like that signing, and it actually shouldn't be that expensive. So, yes, I would have interest. Will the Cowboys? Who's to say? CJ DeYoung III. The fans have spoken, Tom. What we really want to know is how long did it take you to be able to do the Tushy ad read without laughing? Love the shows. Thanks. Thank you, CJ. I am a professional. This is my living. I did it on the first try. And with that in mind, CJ, just for you, today's show is made possible by Tushy. It is the modern bidet attachment that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and butt health for life. Instead of wiping yourself raw with toilet paper, Tushy gently removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient. That's fresh water. Tushy has 2 new ultra-sleek bidet seats, Wave and Oasis, with front and rear wash, to help clean all those hard-to-reach places. The Tushy Wave and Oasis bidets easily attach to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. They even have a quick release button to remove the seat for instant deep cleaning. Installation is simple. It takes like 10 minutes to complete. Literally anyone can do it. Tushy Bidet gives you 2-in-1 benefits, reducing irritation and preventing micro tears with clean water, instead of scratched toilet paper or damaging wet wipes. Every Hello Tushy Bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. There's still time to get your ass right for life. For a limited time, get 10% off your first bidet order with code CHAT over at hellotushy.com/chat. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code CHAT. That's hellotushy.com/chat and use promo code CHAT. We got a $100 super chat from Anthony Patrick. We'll do it outside of the cut for those of you watching on live. We got you covered. It says 2 shots and a beer bong from Anthony in California. I'm doing this because we all know we can't stand Jerry Jones. So 2 shots and a beer bong. We got you, Anthony. Bonus points if you want to spam AP in the comment section of today's show. Eric Ramsey, Dallas signs Gallup for 1 year, $3 million. Thoughts, if so? I'm sure there is an example. I have a tough time remembering the last time somebody took an entire year off and then signed with a team and was actually successful. I don't want to go down the Michael Gallup path again. If he wants to sign a one-day contract to retire as a Cowboy, cool, whatever. I don't want to go down that path. I think you should get somebody better at wide receiver. The Hidden Lotus 1. The Cowboys in free agency this year reminds the girl in college it only dates reclamation projects that she can try to fix. You're not totally wrong. It is a little bit of I can fix him. It's a little bit of the I can fix him. Oh. All right. Richie Rich, what did Micah mean by his my turn tweet? Background, Micah did tweet out for Wednesday. It's something along the lines of my turn. And I think a lot of people want that to be, oh my God, it's his turn to get paid. That's what I think people wanted it to be. It's what I wanted it to be. Or maybe you wanted to trade him, whatever. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It's fine. Both are fine. I think this was actually about Tank Lawrence is gone. Now it's his turn to be kind of the vocal voice on the defensive side in the locker room and not have it be Tank as the elder statesman. And then I quote tweeted Micah's tweet on that, and Micah retweeted it, which, RTs don't equal endorsements, but yeah, I think that kind of was an endorsement. So that's what I think Micah actually meant. Will the Cowboys, I would love if the answer is yes, and not to do drama like we learned from CeeDee Lamb. Will the Cowboys pay Micah Parsons before training camp? Y for yes, N for no. William Cook, $5. How about this group in the draft? Assuming you mean Josh Simmons, the tackle in round 1, Caleb Johnson in round 2, Savion Williams in the 3rd round. If you are convinced Josh Simmons is healthy, okay. The patella tendon is a concern for me. I'm also then bailing on somebody on my offensive line that I've invested in after really either a year in Guyton or that you chose to restructure and pay not that long ago and I think your coaching staff likes. I don't know if you need a tackle at 1. They normally do okay in round 1, but Guyton just had an issue there. Johnson in round 2 I'm down with. Savion round 3, sure. If you talk to me like, Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron, that one could really get me going. Luke Heaton, last on the Cowboys, this kind of offseason and free agency, they did quite a few players. I'm hoping they can do that again. Also, price for Keenan Allen. It's a great question in general on the wide receiver market. There's a lot of those older veteran receivers, sometimes coming off injuries. Hopkins went for 1 year 4, but also Tutu Atwell, or 1 year 5 for Hopkins. Atwell went for 1 year 10. I would guess the ballpark somewhere in there, probably closer to the 10 than the 4, but maybe the chance it ends up going for like 13, 14, which is way out of the Cowboys' price range. But Allen, I think, fits the veteran receiver mold you can at least consider in the end. Now, if you want to be a part of our mailbags, you have to be subscribed. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys videos and live shows all year long. For Mark, I fear these high upside guys play to their full potential and now are demanding more money next year, and we're just back to the drawing board. That's kind of how it goes. When you're signing 1-year deals. Like, they're good, and you can either re-sign them for more, or they get more money elsewhere, and you get comp picks back, or they're just not very good, and you just move on. It's not that big of a deal. It's not locking yourself into long-term commitments, and sometimes the Cowboys don't want to do long-term commitments anyway. So I think that fear is very valid, but that's also kind of a bit of a champagne problem for me. If those high upside guys play to their full potential, that's a win. Means you got a great value on that contract. You've had that happen before. Not a bad thing to do it again. Turd Ferguson. So the orange shirt was a choice. Did you lose a bet? This is in reference to, I don't even call it drama this morning. One Cowboys fan on a different channel doesn't like me, is the way I would describe it. And has accused me of only being a Bengals fan, which if you've ever watched any of the shows, you guys know that's not true. It's always been Cowboys 1, Bengals 2 for me. I just am from Cincinnati, but also that's an issue once every 4 years, and it's always Cowboys more than. I had picked out the orange shirt this morning before I did that because I haven't done laundry in a week and a half, so I'm very low on shirt colors. And I can't actually wear like my favorite light blue shirts on this one because I kind of blend in way too much. So funny timing and more than anything. So I'm like, I could change it, but I'm like, nah, it's funny. Let's just leave it. Richard, which free agent wide receiver do you want the most? Honestly, to an extent, I will not look a gift horse in the mouth. It'll be like, if you sign, depending on who's available, if you want to do it, one of Diggs, Kupp, Allen, Lockett, Amari, even maybe Elijah Moore, given what they should cost, I think that's probably a pretty good deal. So name a player, any position, who you would like to see the Dallas Cowboys add. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Mets today, 248. How much would a Cooper Kupp deal cost? Good question. I don't know. He's not going to get the 19 he was owed this upcoming season. I think he gets over 10 though, which you do like a 1 year, $12 million deal. You've got money available for that. It's not really a huge issue for you. I am very curious what that Kupp deal looks like, and if a team that's a bit more desperate or willing to spend like the Patriots ends up outbidding you. Tyler Shoemate, hey Tom, love the show. Watching you since 50K. Thank you, Tyler. Think about the running back room. Would Ashton be worth trading up for? Are you a fan of Tyler Lockett? I don't believe you should trade up for a back. Because I have other holes I want to fill. I don't want to move my 3rd round pick to go up and get Ashton Genty. Like, if he's there at 12, I'll take him. I think at that point he's the best player on the board. I can get a damn good player on day 2, though, as well. So I don't want to trade up for Genty, but I do think by the time you leave the 3rd round, I think you have to have taken a back. The talent should be there, the impact should be there, and the need is all there. And I think all of that makes sense. As for Lockett, he's very much on the decline, but he knows Brian Schottenheimer, so I wouldn't be overly mad about that one either. Now, if we did not get to your question, it's okay. We'll have another mailbag later, but we've also got my Twitter DMs open. And please help it fill up with Cowboys questions and not crypto scams and links in bio people. I'm tired of the spammers. So hit me up on Twitter at What's Going Downey. All right, we've got shots to do, and we've got beer bongs to do as well. We owe shots from Christopher Gary. And so I owe 4 shots and a beer bong from Anthony Patrick, which I greatly appreciate, my friend. Chris will get the beers. I will do the beer bong to get things going here. Appreciate that, Anthony. We'll get to Christopher's super chat here in a little bit as well. I think there might have been 1 or 2 supers that just came in too. We will get to those as part of the second mailbag, so stay tuned for that. We'll do a second mailbag. Actually, let's just get to those now, and we can make sure we don't forget them, because that's something I could very, very well easily do. We can always go back to them later if we want. All right, I owe 3 shots, so here we go. Side. 1. And I'd say go through all of the recent moves, but there haven't been any moves. Nothing's happened in the last, 20 minutes, which is really boring. But cheers. Getting low on not a sponsor, Northern Discomfort. I ate lunch today, boys and girls. Don't worry. All right, beer bong next. Chris got me the blackberry limeade. Okay. Could be good. There we go. All that foam out of there. Yeah, you can tell that's foam. Come on. Disappear, foam. Come on. There we go. All right. Here we go. There we go. Thank you, Anthony. Did we show Christopher's 20? Sweet, sweet. Perfect. The Lunatic, which running back in the third? Oh, just a classic timing on the graphic side. Let me put the fan on real quick, too, while I do this. Alcohol starts coming in, and I gotta cool down a little bit. I'll just read off the Lunatics. Which running back in the third round? DC for life. Fire Jerry. I would love it if any of the Ohio State guys were there in the third round. I don't think Caleb Johnson's third. If you could get one of those guys in the third, awesome. I don't know if that's actually likely. I know Hampton's not. I don't think Hampton gets you in the second. So does Cam Scadaboo get to you in the third? Does Dylan Sampson get to you in the third? And then it's kind of like, which running back are you higher on? Are you a Devin Neal guy? You're a DJ Giddens guy, a Bashal Tootin guy, RJ Harvey, Ollie Gordon, Jarquez Hunter. It's a deep class, man. There's a lot of I'm gonna have a lot of I bet it's my top 150. There might be 15 backs, 20 backs in there. Honestly, I think it's just gonna be I think Damian Martinez is a really good player. I think Taj Brooks is undervalued. There's a lot of good backs this year. It's kind of why I want to take 2 of them. Kind of want to take 2. Sam, I do feel like this team doesn't get enough credit when it comes to reviving players' careers, but yes, I do wish they did more to win a championship. I think that's all fair and accurate. My mindset is I just want to win championships. I think this team in general has done a really good job of building a 10-win team. They do a really good job of building a team that, outside of years in which injuries decimate them in most cases, even dating back to the Romo Garrett era, they were always hanging around in the playoff conversation. They've done a good job of that. But that's not the goal I want. I want more than that. I'll trade some crappy years if I win a Super Bowl, or at least they make it to a conference championship game. So that's my mindset there, Sam. But I do think you're right, and I think you kind of agree. Simply, you asked us, but what do you grade the Cowboys offseason, Tom? Also, why did we trade for Kaiir Elam, someone who's a clear liability on the Bills' defense? I gave it a B-/C+, kind of just right on that tier, which I don't remember what I gave. I don't know if we did grades last year because there weren't enough moves to do grades last year. I'm in the B-/C+ range. I give them credit for doing a lot more, but I also have doubts that they did enough in terms of the higher-end impact options. Did they do enough to truly make that team better? The way we want them to. I'm not sold on that one there. As for Kaiir Elam, look, this team needed depth at corner. They don't have enough bodies. This team in general loves adding those late round 1, early round 2 picks and saying this time it can be different, especially at corner. They've done that a couple years in a row now. Igbenogany, they did it with Andrew Booth. So they moved on from Deshaun Wright. I don't know if Elam was the best fit in the Bills system, which I think we can also, acknowledge isn't just a Bills issue, isn't just a player issue. I think he's better when he gets to kind of use his hands, be a little grabby, do some press man stuff. Eberflus made the comment he wanted to do more press man this year, which does stand out to me. Or he wanted to do more man as opposed to being a mostly zone guy. But I think it gives them a high upside outside option, which, to be quite honest, they didn't. I don't know if they really had that, especially with Josh Butler and Trayvon Diggs both banged up right now. Anthony, a $2 super chat, says sign Diggs to a 1-year, $10 million deal and draft Genty. I don't think there'll definitely be pushback on that because some people just don't want to go down that path, period. Potentially on either guy. But I think you're addressing a receiver hole short term. I like that. And I think if Genty's there at 12, I would be a little surprised if once I stack everybody and we see what the players on the board actually look like, I would be pretty surprised if he was not like my clear cut. This is the best player on the board. I'd be pretty surprised by that. I feel like that's just going BPA, and even at running back, unless there's a very close grade that's available for you, I think you take the best player. Merjanik, will anyone take Kyron Lacey in the 7th? My gut says no. But we'll see how the legal stuff plays out. For those of you that don't know, Kyron Lacey, who I think probably would have been a mid-day 2-ish draft pick, maybe early day 3 at LSU. He is currently facing charges stemming from a fatal car crash in which he got charged with negligent homicide and felony hit and run because he was driving recklessly and passing the center lane and going in the northbound lane on a southbound road and kind of veering and weaving, and another car saw him coming and swerved to try to avoid him and crashed into somebody else, and then one of them died. So he's facing negligent homicide charges because of that, which it's hard to draft that guy right now. And I would not be surprised if he goes undrafted. Because at some point, like, the talent, okay, cool, whatever. Like, the person side of things kind of matter a lot, too. So this is the Super Chat menu on today's show. Any Super Chats, we'll give you a shout-out. $20 for a shot or the Beaned Boozled. We've only got a couple shots left. We're very low right now. So if we run out of shots, we'll pivot to the Beaned Boozled side. $50 for the Beer Bong. And the most 50s in the month of March get a signed Zach Martin jersey. Anthony Patrick got the 2-for-1 on counting of those, which I appreciate that, Anthony. I'm sure we'll have more supers, more mailbag questions as well. But first, I want to get to the next segment on today's show. NFL free agency is well underway, and the Cowboys have made moves, and especially compared to last year, a lot more moves. I think we would all agree they still have holes to fill on their roster, especially higher-end impact potential holes to fill. Now, the actual cap space number, as of filming, I don't know. It's a little bit murky because we don't know all of the actual contract details, but because only the top 51 contracts count right now, and given what we do know, that number is probably still north of $30 million. It might be more like $35 million. There's plenty of money for the Cowboys to add some more players and add some more talent. So before we get into some of the top free agent targets who are left available for the Dallas Cowboys, name a free agent who you want the Dallas Cowboys to sign. Let me know in the comments section of today's show what free agent you want the Cowboys to go out and get. Let's begin with the wide receiver situation. I want to discuss some of the options there for the Cowboys. I don't love what this room looks like at the current moment. I think you need a real legitimate number 2 option, so it's not Jalen Tolbert and Kavontae, Turpin, and all the other options out there. So let's break down some of the top candidates who are available. First up is Cooper Kupp. That is the former Rams wide receiver. We'll see how much interest the Cowboys have. Money is going to be an issue in the end for all of these guys because that's just how the Cowboys have a tendency to do business. But I do think Cooper Kupp and his play style, the things he does well, he can do some run blocking, can do some tight formation stuff. I think actually does fit pretty well with the Cowboys as an organization. Tyler Lockett has a pretty obvious connection as well with this Cowboys team. He played under Brian Schottenheimer for several years up in Seattle. He very clearly is on the decline, doesn't offer much after the catch, isn't that dissimilar from Brandon Cooks, although I think he still has more in the tank than Cooks does. Is worth mentioning that, at this point, there were other better receivers on Seattle, Metcalf and JSN. But Lockett as a temporary option, beyond just Lamb, I think does fit in that wide receiver 2 hole. Stephon Diggs, I think more so this year than in any previous year. The Diggs rumors make a little bit more sense. We'll see what the long-term outlook looks like for Trayvon Diggs, frankly, at this point. But Diggs coming off the injury, shouldn't be overly expensive. Cowboys could win the deal, so to speak. Amari Cooper is next up here. Look, I don't know what the relationship is actually like right now between Amari Cooper and between the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if either side actually wants to consider going down that path again. I think there was some bad blood between all parties that I think is something that should be acknowledged. But even though he has also declined, stopgap wide receiver 2 option isn't necessarily the end of the world. Now, I would like to get a number 2 receiver. How do you believe the Cowboys should try to get more wide receiver help? D for draft, T for trade, F for free agency. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. It's the pinned comment. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. All right, some more wide receivers I want to acknowledge. Keenan Allen, who has done a lot more slop, but can do some outside stuff too. Also, again, is not the same caliber of player he truly was at his prime. But if you're looking for a shorter stopgap veteran receiver option, Allen makes some sense. I will continue to mention some of the mostly serious, but acknowledging some of the young guys too. But I think Allen as a veteran does fit. Elijah Moore was an early-ish round pick, and the Cowboys have shown a very clear affinity for adding more young former first-round picks in this cycle, or early round picks, even if it wasn't a first round or some early second-round selections there. Moore's shown flashes, but much like all the real available options in free agency, it's still kind of hope for more high-end impact. Now, what do you think is the biggest position of need left for the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Let's go to corner. Trayvon Diggs is banged up. I don't know exactly when he's going to be healthy. Ideally it's week 1, but that's not a guarantee, and it might not be week 1, might be later. You have options, but they're not like sexy options in Kalen Carson and Kaiir Elam and Andrew Booth and injured Josh Butler. Nickel corner still really stands out to me as a potential need. So all of those are I'd like to get some more help there. So let's look at some of the options then. Previously cut, and I should have made note earlier, if you are cut, you don't impact the comp pick formula, and the Cowboys love players like that. Kendall Fuller has done some inside-outside stuff. A lot of experience. The Commanders, the Dolphins, multi-year starter, I think could fit the mold pretty decently. Not that dissimilar from Akila Witherspoon as well, who's got more outside stuff. Asante Samuel Jr. I know many of you would like to get him. I don't disagree at all. I would also like to bring in Asante Samuel Jr. It would be a departure, however, from the Cowboys' historical planning and MO and plans of operations because he's got short arms and they don't like short-arm corners. But I do think Samuel, as a buy low, early round draft pick type, fits their archetype right now. Stephon Gilmore, you can just bring him back. Stopgap starter on the outside. It worked well for Minnesota. I don't know how much Gilmore has left in the tank. This also might end up being this is a guy that's available into July, and we'll keep talking about him, etc. But Stephon Gilmore does stand out as a veteran option. Nickel corner is a real hole for me right now. And I think Mike Hilton could fill that hole. Phrasing. He's a blitzing nickel, and we've seen Matt Eberflus like that guy in the past. He blitzed plenty with Kenny Moore. I don't trust him in coverage. I would want this to be a one-year deal at most, but it does replace the Jordan Lewis size gap you have in your cornerback room right now. Some other options. Adoree Jackson was a former first-round pick. Has kind of been a journeyman at this point in his NFL career, and I think does offer some inside-outside flexibility as well. Ronald Darby, again, I'm trying to find guys that I think could contribute some in the nickel, even though, again, he's more of an outside corner for most of his NFL career. Veteran player, again, also wouldn't likely be very expensive. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. If you haven't already, get in on the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It is available in more than 30 states, including California, Georgia, Florida, and, of course, Texas. They invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup is not perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. This is our football season-long prize picks. Less than, which I don't normally do, but we'll do it this time around. Flex play so I can get one wrong and still cash out. Less than's on Jared Goff passing yards. Could be a downer, more down year for the Lions. Less than Travis Kelce receiving yards. He's getting old. And less than Jaden Daniels yards on the ground. They probably don't want to run him that much. So go download the app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Defensive tackle room. You've got 2 and kind of 3 with Solomon Thomas offering some inside-outside flexibility. But do we want to ride on Denzel Daxon and Justin Rogers being long-term pieces up front or being contributors this upcoming season? I kind of don't. So I would like to find more defensive tackle depth, ideally guys that can help against the run. Let's get into some of the options. Calais Campbell is the ultimate Iron Man right now. All he does is continue to find ways to play at a higher level than he really should be playing at. Calais Campbell should not be as good at this point in his career as he actually is. It honestly doesn't make any sense to me. How he is able to continue to play at this level is wildly impressive. So yes, I would love to bring him in. It's a one-year deal. He's not going to be there forever. That's fine. He can help me out in a pretty critical way. Byron Cowart is next up. This is a Matt Eberflus guy who is a decent run stopper. He's not the biggest guy, but he can contribute as a run stopper. And for me, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I think he offers you additional depth at 3 technique, which I do think you need as well. And there's Foley Fatukasi. Now I'll be honest, I don't think he was very good this past year with Houston. And his play has kind of dipped since some of his earlier time in New York, when, by the way, he overlapped there in White Cotton. So there is a connection there between Fatukasi and the current Cowboys regime. Jerry Tillery has the size the Cowboys like, has the former first-round pedigree. He has never lived up to expectations. For me, this would probably be the old one-year deal and little to no guaranteed money. I don't think the Cowboys are done making moves as of filming. I could see 1, 2, maybe 3 more guys. But how many more free agents do you believe the Cowboys will end up signing? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Let's go to edge. You have Micah Parsons. You have Marshawn Nealon. You have Sam Williams coming off the injury. You have Peyton Turner. you kind of have Solomon Thomas with some inside-outside flex. I would like to see more actual, true, proven pass rush options at this point. So again, let's break down some of the candidates. Zadarius Smith was kind of linked a couple years ago. He put up good numbers in 2024 with both the Browns and Lions. Was cut by Detroit. Wouldn't impact your comp pick formula. Get him for a 1-year deal? Why not? Azeez Ojulari is coming off of injury. That's probably a big factor in why he is unsigned at this time. But Ojulari as a situational pass rusher, buy low because he's off the injury, that also kind of fits the Cowboys mold. DeMarcus Walker, this is a Matt Eberflus guy who more of a run stopper than anything else. I think would allow the Cowboys to have another kind of inside-outside flex chess piece, and I think several of those guys is actually probably a good thing. And the big name, how about Von Miller? I know he would like to come back to the Dallas Cowboys. He's never had the chance to. The Cowboys never offered him the right amount of money. The Bills paid him a lot more. But he's now older. He's not been the same healthy guy. So you might be able to actually get him in your very cheap price tag range. Dante Fowler is very vocal on Twitter of how upset he is he's not getting paid. And I get it after a 10.5 sack season. You'd think there'd be more hype for him. I think that's one of those, 10.5 sacks, but you just kind of got a little bit luckier this year with some of the guys opposite you and how things turned out. But I don't think anyone actually expects 10.5 sacks. But if no one else wants him, why not? Emmanuel Ogbah is next up here. A 5-sack season in 2024. He is, again, getting up there in age, but he's got some ties to the Dallas area. Cheap option, additional edge rush help. I think you can get a couple of, $3, $4, $5 million max guys here. That I think is in the budget for the Dallas Cowboys. Kavontae Chasen, who the Cowboys liked a lot coming out of LSU and had a better than expected year last year for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is like very much up the Cowboys' alley, especially this offseason. Matthew Judon, 5.5 sacks. Kind of a down year, frankly, for the Falcons. They gave up a lot to get him. He did not have the level of production that I know that they wanted. That was a pretty big disappointment for them. But you buy low on a former highly productive player. That's always something the Cowboys have interest in doing. You could also just bring back Carl Lawson, who I think if you bring back Lawson, you pair him with Turner and some Solomon Thomas, you're actually probably going to be able to survive at edge and, maybe even move on from somebody if you need to in the trade market or cut market if you get lucky in the draft and there's someone that you want as well. Now, we will have you covered on all the Cowboys news as it happens. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys YouTube videos. We should probably mention the quarterback market. And Will Grier, I think he's your breaking case of emergency quarterback too. I don't get the vibe Trey Lance will come back. But a number 2 QB, given the reality of Dak Prescott's injury history, probably shouldn't be ignored either. Cooper Rush is an obvious candidate to return. The quarterback backup market, Mason Rudolph got like $4 million. That's probably the ceiling for Cooper Rush. That's not that crazy at this point in the NFL salary cap world. If he's back, I would not be surprised. You could get weird with it, though, about Gardner Minshew. He wasn't good with the Raiders. This is kind of who he's been. He's a fun wild card option at backup QB who's not like the most consistent guy at this point. He's kind of like consistently inconsistent. And he's also, by the way, we'll make note for Minshew. This might take a while. He was released with a failed physical designation. So that could be a red flag for a lot of teams there as well. And then how about Sam Ehlinger? What if you bring him back? He hasn't played a lot with the Colts. He's played a little bit, handful of games and starts. But he fits the backup quarterback mold. He's still pretty young. And I think there is some brief overlap with Clayton Adams, if my memory serves correct, on Sam Ehlinger. So why not consider him as a potential backup QB option? I don't think Indy's going to go back down that path since they made the move to go get Daniel Jones. So I think that could be a fun little, homecoming, so to speak, for Sam. Some other, group of free agents at different positions here. First up is Tyron Smith, the offensive tackle. Why not? You want a better swing tackle? If Tyron is willing to play cheaply, which he may not be willing to do, and you want another additional alternative to Tyler Guyton, and as long as you don't think you're going to break Guyton or Terrence Steele's, mental spaces and not ruin their confidence, why not bring back Tyron Smith? From J.K. Dobbins, is next up here. The Chargers running back had a pretty good season, and Chargers went after somebody else, which does kind of stand out to me as they're not going to go down this particular path. And I think back to Texas, right? Cheap one-year deal. You can still draft somebody, have some additional options in the backfield. I don't mind that one. I know many of you have asked about him, so I'm going to include him. Nick Chubb. Look, he was bad last year, coming off the injury. He was not very good. But buy low option. Might not have a lot of interest in him. Especially if the draft doesn't go your way. Those are two names I think you should probably consider. And then one of my guys is Juan Thornhill. Because I wanted him over Tristan Hill all those years ago. He's still hanging around the NFL making some plays. Was cut by the Browns very recently. But that one does stand out as I doubt they go after a safety, but if they did, that'd be the guy I would choose to try to go get. Let's recap the moves that have happened so far in free agency. Boy, there's not very much that's gone on, is there? Cowboys legend Malik Collins. I think this is going to be a 2-year, $20 million deal for the Browns, which is insane to me. There has not been a lot that has happened in NFL free agency. Today especially. I know Naquan Jones to the Chargers. They also brought in Deshaun Hand. Nothing that truly gets the needle flowing, gets the juices moving for me there. It's been a very quiet last really 2.5 days of free agency because there's just not the same volume of top end talent. So we will get to a mailbag here in a little bit. Should probably plug my phone in, make sure it doesn't die on me again. Get your questions in via #Cowboys. This is the super chat menu. We'll mention DC Star 86's super chat in the mailbag, but I will do the shot for it now. We'll crank out one of those for you. Got what? 2, 3, maybe? Tough to know. Cheers. It's $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong. And then if we run out of shots, we'll do Bean Boozled for 20 there. $50 for the beer bong. Most 50s in the month of March gets the signed Zach Martin jersey. Anthony McMillan has the lead right now at 8. Before we get into the next portion of today's live show, which is a mailbag, by the way, get your questions in via #Cowboys or skip the line altogether with a super chat. There are several super thanks we'll get to as well. So get those in for me in the comments of today's live show. A $5 super thanks from Travis Brown. This, by the way, came in before the DK Metcalf trade. He said he'd do a first and a third. Obviously ends up going for a second, which I don't think anyone else really offered a second for DK Metcalf. By the way, it was kind of a mid-late second that went to Pittsburgh there. The biggest issue with DK was having to pay him almost $30 million per year. That turned a lot of people off. But I appreciate the super thanks, Travis. Even if we don't get to it on time, I did respond to it on time, but if we don't get to it on the show on time, we will still give you a shout-out. Any super thanks that comes in, as long as you're not committing an ism, you can say Tom F you, which someone did do one time. Was very funny, frankly. We'll feature you on the show via the super thanks feature. $sign the heart icon, edit your message, and send it in. James Tyson. Think about drafting Connor Colby in the 5th round. I think he'd be a great fit for us. Cowboys still have several 5th-round picks. So you don't have to worry too much about burning one. There's a lot of options there. That is the Iowa offensive guard. I have very few complaints about potentially adding a offensive guard in the 5th round. I have not finished my eval on him. I'm guessing 5th round would probably be about the right value, worst case. He did have pretty good testing with the NFL Combine. And for guards, I think that is at least valuable as a data point. Mighty Ant 0215. I trade back to late teens if there's a partner to get a 4th and take Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson if they're at 12. And let go of Diggs this year because Graham thinks going to the Jags. That's my first round. Sorry, Tom. C+ mock draft. That's fine. If you can trade down and get whatever guy you want, that could be a defensive lineman, that could be a receiver, could be a corner, running back, whatever. If you trade down, get assets, I'm going to give you a lot more to because I like trading down. I like getting more picks in general from a philosophical standpoint. I've got Barron and Johnson both in the 1st round. So I would be fully on board with that move. Jason Tadaro, love the show and everything you do. Shout out to you, guys. But I don't understand why everyone is so hyped about Tedoroa McMillan. I don't think he's the best receiver in this draft. He's a good player, but that hasn't played any good competition besides Travis Hunter and got locked down. He's supposed to be an NFL X, but has lazy release and routes, in my opinion. 7 drops for T-Max. This dude's going to be a bust at number 12. I see another Quentin Johnson in my eyes. The whole media on him, but this is not the move. I'd rather take Barron than him. He's slow with 7 drops. He's also, I forgot to mention, Tadaro is a big fan of Matthew Golden. Now, we had a good conversation, by the way, so everyone, if you disagree, just be nice to Jason. Hunter didn't shadow Tet McMillan a lot. And there were 2 games between Tet and Hunter. One game he had good production against Colorado. One a little bit less, but he also drew 2 DPIs and had a pick, or had a catch, that touchdown catch, a really nice end zone one. I get it's not SEC competition, but it is Big 12 competition. I've seen McMillan be really freaking good for 2 years in a row. I think he moves better at his size than most people do. I don't know if he gets to you at 12. There aren't that many receiver-needy teams in the top half of round 1, so maybe he does. But I would be on board with T-Mac at 12. I think he's a first-round grade for me. I like other receivers, too. I'm a big Burden fan relative to the recent buzz on him for some reason. But I would happily take T-Mac at 12. But I want to hear from you guys, too. Would you draft Tedoroa McMillan at number 12? Why for yes and for no? Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show if the ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Joshua Orzek, however you pronounce it, Josh, I'm sorry. If Travis Hunter falls to 5, are there any hopes the Cowboys would trade up for him? Would you do it? And what would it take? It would probably cost you at least your 2nd round pick. The issue there is, in theory, Jacksonville is going to take Travis Hunter. So you're trying to get the team that's going to take him to trade down. So a minimum is going to cost you year 2 and probably more because the Jags want him to. So I'm not getting hopes for a Hunter trade. I'd be happily surprised if it happened because I just don't foresee it happening. He's more likely to be gone at 4 at the latest. As for Shiloh Sanders in the 7th, I feel like he is a Dallas Cowboy. Or whatever team drafts Shadur also drafts Shiloh. I don't know if Shiloh gets drafted. He might be an undrafted free agent, but 7th round is fine. You can draft Chris in the 7th round. It's a 7th rounder. It's not a bad pick. Austin Carey. Draft is going to be rough. Needs won't be filled. Faith in the first 3 rounds. No faith in round 2, given their history. No 4th this year, and that's after not star players that fill needs the way we need. Can't get a corner or nickel, a running back, interior D-line, edge outside of Micah, receiver 2, and a good linebacker. Maybe this came in before the linebacker moves. Maybe you feel better about that / some of your D-line stuff. Fine with the O-line, though. I select a top 4 round pick there. Can't get that now with more important needs. I'm frustrated. At least the Cowboys say they were active in free agency, and we're all in. SMH, clown emoji. It's rough being Dallas right now. I think that sums up a lot of the negative mindset, negative feelings towards the Cowboys. They did fill some of those needs, but my issue in general is yes, you have a defensive tackle and an edge and a guard. I wouldn't be opposed to adding a better talent there. But I also still have to fill nickel corner and receiver and running back, and those might be my first 3 picks right now. So am I going to get lucky with all my day 3 picks? Some, but not all of them. Cool Sharky. How about Kyle Juszczyk? He was due 4.1 this year, got cut by the 49ers. Ricard just got 2.9. Give Kyle 3.5 and trade Lipke. I don't know what the market is going to be for Hunter Lipke, or for Kyle Juszczyk. I think the Steelers are visiting with him. But I could very much see a a cheap deal to go to Pittsburgh. If you want to have a fullback, though, that's certainly someone that you should consider. Name a player who you want the Dallas Cowboys to add. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Any player, any team, drop that. I guess any X-team. Drop that player name for me in the comments of today's video. Aaron Gomez, how high would you take Amir Hampton if we trade down? The issue is, I think, like, Hampton's probably going to go, like, in the 20s, so you probably got to take him there. I don't know if I'd have a better player on the board at this point. That's kind of my mindset there with Amir Hampton. I don't know what the value would truly be. But he's a good player. I want to make that clear. DC Star, we did the shot for you. What do you think would be better in 2025, offense or defense? It's a good question. I don't know. So I lean towards the offense, but I think there's also uncertainty on both sides. And this assumes you get more of 2023 Dak and not 2024 Dak too. Is in to win. Took me a minute there. I say sign Chubb or Dobbins and draft a receiver. I'll say this. I think, like, for round one, sure. Even if you sign Chubb and Dobbins, I still would like to go get a running back on day two. Like, I think Javonte Williams and J.K. Dobbins, like, okay, but then I'm right back where I was last year needing a running back. I think that's a really good class. I would like to get one in this year's class. I think it's the value should be there at some point on day two. From Chris, not the producer, good timing. Will Dallas draft a back? I'd be shocked if we got out of day two and the Cowboys didn't have a back. Like, they have a glaring need, and there's so much good talent. And maybe it's not round one. That's fine. But round two, round three, I think they have to go down that route. I think they need it, and they have the options to. So what round do you think the Cowboys will end up drafting a running back? Let me know in the comments section of today's video. Caitlin Stevens, get Cup and draft at number 12, Mason Graham. If Mason Graham is there at 12, I am sprinting to the podium, and I'm getting a warning from the NFL to make sure I take up all of my time on the clock next year for audience perspective. That's a no-brainer. I don't think Mason Graham's getting to 12. I would be happily shocked if that happened. He's a top 5 guy for me in this class. I'd love it. I just don't think he's going to be there. Rajonic, sign Cam Robinson, try Terrence Steele at guard. I don't think Terrence Steele's game translates to guard. I don't want to try to move a nearly 6'7" tackle to guard. I don't. There's not a lot of good track record there. And Cam Robinson, honestly, they're different players. The attributes are more in pass protection for Robinson and run blocking for Steele. I don't think they're very different. Like overall talent levels. I'd just keep Terrence Steele at right tackle. Now, if you want to be a part of future Cowboys Report mailbags, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Free Cowboys videos every single day. And if you want to get on the mailbags, you can subscribe. That way you don't miss out on future shows. From Samuel, how many draft picks do we have? As of filming, so barring more trades, round 1, pick 12. Round 2, pick 44. Round 3, pick 76. Round 5, number 149. Round 5, 171 and 174, both comp picks. Round 6, number 204 from the Bills as part of the Kaiir Elam trade. Round 6, number 211, a comp pick. Round 7, number 239 from the Tennessee Titans. And round 7, number 247 as part of the Mingo trade. You've got 10 picks in this year's class. That figure has not changed. The where they're at has moved, but you have 10 picks still. Marcus Arnold, who would you trade up for, and what would you give up for the trade? I would need to see someone like... I need to see, somebody surprising fall down the board, like a Mason Graham, a Travis Hunter, an Abdul Carter, a guy that I have a top 5 grade on, gets to, pick 7 or 8. And I'm like, do you want my 3? Do you want my 3? Do you want a future 2? That's what I'd be trying to do. I don't think those things happen, because in general, I don't like moving up. I would almost have more interest in, on day 3, packaging 2 of my 5s or something, and getting into the 4th round and adding a guy I have a top 100 grade on. That could be really intriguing to me more than anything else. As a reminder, super thanks are available here on the channel. You can edit your message, send in whatever, and we'll feature you on future mailbags, even if you can't be a part of them live. So grade Cowboys free agency so far. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. We have a very minor move here. Dakota Shepley is back with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if Sam even put that one in there. Now, this is you're going to see 2-year deal. I believe that Dakota Shepley doesn't have enough accrued seasons. So the Cowboys are doing what they've done before, of doing a 2-year deal and then kind of setting themselves up for, well, now he's under contract, we can avoid the whole ERFA stuff. I think that's what's going on there. So, Chris, I'll have you come bring yourself on here and give some shout-outs so that I can get a quick tweet off on this. But grade the Cowboys free agency, A, B, C, D, or F. And yes, Shepley does not count as a free agent. This is essentially a futures deal, frankly, because Shepley ended the year on the practice squad for the Cowboys. That doesn't move the needle. That's just additional depth on the interior of the offensive line, and I guess I should have had the O-line depth chart up there. It's fine. He's bounced around the Cowboys a lot as of late. So, shout-outs here, Chris. Take it away from me.
Here we go. Grade the Cowboys 2025 free agency so far. I see Clayton in there saying C. I see an eh. Mark saying F. Bo says C. Echo Doorman says F. Ty Church is C. Turd Ferguson C+. A lot of C's in there. What's going on, Jace? Appreciate everybody who's joining the show today. Basically, day 4?
Yeah.
Free agency right now?
Day 4.
All the days have just gone together. We've been live every single day so far. Let's see. Jermaine says C. Ecuadorman's F. Chris is a C+. B- C+ from Samuel. Steven says C. It is as middle of the pack as you could get, I feel like. Everett saying C+. Ask me as well, how am I doing? I'm doing great, man. Appreciate it. See, young Chris saying D. Let's see. Richard saying C until we see. Carlos is saying, I'll give it a grade after next season.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to go down that route there. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to do a short or anything on Dakota Shepley. That there's your 12th offensive lineman. That does not change your grades at all. I'll make note of the tweet can handle it all there in the end. All right, we have another new item coming in here. I will make note, as long as the super chats are coming in, we can stay live. But if the super chats stop coming in, studio space is needed for other people, so we will sign off here. So we'll put 2 minutes on the clock here and then restart it, and because Merjanek already got one in there. Get the supers in. I do want to mention the Texans trade, which I don't understand what Houston's doing. They just traded a 6th-round pick for Ed Ingram, who's been bad in Minnesota. A future 6. That is, by definition, better than what Kenyon Green has been, but I also wouldn't say good either. Alexander Madison is heading to the Dolphins as, extra depth in that backfield, but he hasn't been very good either. We are very much into that was a bad signing, that was a bad signing, that was a bad signing. They're like, that's not an indifferent sign, that's not an indifferent signing, whatever. I think for the first time in a long time, maybe not a long time, but I think the Cowboys are having the best offseason in the state of Texas. The bar is low right now, but it's fun. All right, 2 minutes on the clock here. Merjanek, who is the most intriguing Cowboys addition? I think the guy with the most physical athletic upside is probably Kenneth Murray, or Kyer developed the way I think people wanted him to. Both those guys stand out as intriguing. I'm also very intrigued by Jack Sanborn. Of the, hey, I think this guy didn't get a chance in Chicago because of the playing time issues, that he didn't have enough time to get on there behind other defensive linemen that those teams liked. I think that's fine. I'm intrigued by that one. And maybe if you get rookie year Javonte Williams again, maybe that starts to intrigue you a little bit. Maybe that gets the juices flowing. But there's a lot of just I think in general they're all kind of intriguing because they're all low risk, high upside players that kind of moves the needle a little bit. Sam said he added the Jack Sanborn or the Dakota Shepley graphic if you want to go to that one with some of the recent moves. Cowboys did bring back Dakota Shepley. He has been on, I think this is his third stint in Dallas or something like that. Again, I would not read into the 2-year deal aspect. The Cowboys have done that a lot with guys that they just don't have enough accrued seasons. That's just hey, kind of like how when all those UFL guys sign 3-year deals, that's just an undrafted free agent because you have to get 3 years of accrued of seasons to go be a free agent. He doesn't have that yet. So there's 2 years that are notwithstanding, so they're just going to tack on the extra year. This does not. This is a preseason body who's back. That's all that is, and probably a name that some of you have heard of before, because he's bounced around a lot with different teams. This is going to be his third full stint in Dallas. He's been cut and brought back and cut so many times. He's spent at some point, I think every calendar year, last 3 years, at some point in Dallas. Was a top 5 pick in the CFL though, because he is Canadian. Went to British Columbia for school. Other moves: Stone Smart. No relations to Stone Shields here at Chat Sports. 1-year deal with the Jets. Alexander Madison. Details TBD. Lots of one-off 1-year deals. Official the General. I think the Cowboys have enough cap space to sign Amari Cooper and Tyler Lockett. They have enough if they want to. I don't think that they want to. I don't think that they want to add 2 veteran receivers right now. I think one is a possibility. And the longer this goes on, the door opens of these guys might want to wait until after free agency, after the draft to sign potentially too. But I think that the Cowboys, they could if they want to. I don't think they want to, and I'm not terribly bothered by that if so. I think that they'll be okay. If they want to wait on receivers, they can look to the draft. And they've got bodies. I think you need impact. You don't need just guys at receiver. You need impact guys there. All right, 2 more minutes on the clock. Marcus Arnold, a $5 super chat. I feel like we're worse than last year. Why is Deuce Vaughn still if no one's going to use him? Same with Tolbert. Not even a number 3 wide receiver. We've got an offseason for those guys to prove themselves to a mostly new coaching staff. But I think we can go position here in case we get no more supers. Quarterback, jury's out in terms of if you're better at backup QB. Running back, I think you're worse right now. I think Rico's a better player than Javonte Williams, but that'll change post-draft, so I'm not too worried about that spot. Receiver, I think you're the same. And Cooks doesn't drastically change the needle movement for me. Offensive line, the same. Martin was not playing that great. I'm not freaking out over that loss. As weird as that sounds for a Hall of Famer, I'm not freaking out there. Defensive tackle, maybe you're a little bit better. Because I think Solomon Thomas is better than Carlos Watkins, but I haven't replaced Linval Joseph yet, so kind of feel like the same. Edge, I think I'm worse, although you were so banged up last year, but you lost Chauncey Golston and Tank Lawrence. I don't know if you're any better there. Linebacker, I think you're better, if only because of you have actual depth now. That's not just Damone Clark. Clark is now your linebacker 4, and that's so much better once Overshown gets healthy. I think you're worse at corner, though. And the same at safety and special teams. It's kind of my issue. You've got more depth. You probably feel a lot better post-draft. But wouldn't it be nice to feel a lot better post-free agency as well? We did not get any more supers, so we will sign off here on the Cowboys Report. Appreciate every single person who's tuned in, not only today, but throughout our NFL free agency coverage here on the Cowboys Report. If more news happens, promise you, we have you guys covered. If signings happens, we'll do videos. Be back in the office again on Sunday. Live again on Monday. So do not miss out. Hit that sub button. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. More news will happen. We have you guys covered. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button for me right now.